Hello, friends and followers. You're welcome back to our YouTube channel. If you're a new subscriber, you're welcome. And if you're returning, you're also welcome. Please, as a new subscriber, subscribe to this channel to receive movie recaps, letters, videos, and lots more. Now, let's get into the story. The movie begins with an opening scene with a man, on his wedding night with his wife. She just came in from the bathroom. She took a shower because she said she was tired. And he was on the phone. Then he dropped his call and they were ready to consummate their marriage. You can see them talking, and she was saying how she was really tired, and the man was even happy. At least he was a married man now. So the next scene shows a lady on the mountaintop praying to God. She was dressed rather shabbily, and her friend who came to meet her confronted her and was telling her that she was not dressing enough. She had not brushed her teeth, her slippers were so dirty, she was not looking presentable. No wonder she was still single. It looked so funny because the lady was just a girl that was praying to God and looked for a time in the mountaintop, but her friend seemed to think that spirituality does not equate laziness and dirtiness. The next scene showed the man being tied up in a house, and two men were trying to, drug him to keep him in check so that he can sleep. It was a little confusing here because we wonder what was really going on, but after they injected him, he relaxed and he fell asleep. They then wondered how a man could be so influential and rich, yet he was not normal. He had some mental or psychological problem. They realized that money was not the only solution of this world. As we go on, we'll find out what really happened to this man, who he was, and how he got here. The next scene showed the young man in his room speaking with the Holy Spirit, saying how he did not want the will that the Holy Spirit was presenting to him as a wife. It was funny because this is what most of us usually do. We get to choose for God, we beg God to, choose for us, and at the end of the day, when He brings His choice, we end up choosing for ourselves. So he was begging the Holy Spirit to give him somebody more fashionable, but the Holy Spirit said no. By the time he woke up from his sleep, he realized that he would have to make do with the person that the Holy Spirit was presenting to him. We will see that person and we will all be shocked. The next scene showed a woman in her house. She was crying, thinking of some things, reminiscing over some things. Shortly, her daughter came in and she had to wipe her tears and pretend like nothing happened. Daughter came in and she welcomed the daughter, and they were talking and exchanging pleasantries. The daughter asked her why she was crying. She said no, she was not crying. No, it was just something entered her eyes. The daughter told her that no, this is not the first time she noticed that she was crying. But then the mother refused and nothing was the problem. The next scene showed the man's wife in the first scene arguing and quarreling with a bike rider who refused to drop her at her location because the money she gave was small. She washed down this Okada man, like she washed him down, insulted him and everything. Even a passerby came to join in and help to see if he could even involve himself in the matter. But the woman washed the both of them up and down. It's trouble that this man just went and married. It's very, very obvious. I hope things end well with him. He was even bragging to his friend in this scene, telling his friend that he was enjoying the wife of his youth and the woman was so sweet and the woman was so good. I hope it's really true that he was not just pretending, or yet she was here to show him her true colors. The next scene showed a man coming into the room where the other man that was previously tied was. It turned out this young man was the son of the man who was tied. The man who was tied name was Mr. White, while the son's name was Caleb. So the boy came to tell the father that he found a lady he wanted to get married to, and what the man asked was if the lady was a child of God and if he had prayed about it. The boy told the man that yes, he had done all this. The father said then he was happy and he was ready to meet this young lady named Kemisola. Before we go on, this is an important disclaimer. This recap does in no way replace the original movie, which is produced by Prem Ministries International. So if you're willing to watch the full movie or you don't understand anything, go to the YouTube channel and please subscribe to our YouTube channel for more updates. Now let's get back to the story. Now, Kemisola was also seen talking to her mom, telling her that she found a young man, a responsible young man of God. And then her mom told her she was happy to meet him as long as he was a child of God. Next, Sister Jasmine, the prayer warrior, was telling the Lord that she was still single. Why was he doing this to her when her friend Kemisola was engaged? She wanted God to bring her husband immediately. Shortly, a young man came, that man that was seen talking to the Holy Spirit in the previous scene. He came and saw her praying. He broke her prayers and told her he wanted to sit with her and just talk to her, just to get to know her. She obliged and they started talking, just to get to familiar with each other. and all sorts of things. So they sat down and they had a nice time together in that scene. The next scene showed Mr. James in the parlor and his wife coming to meet him, raising her voice at him, telling him that he finished her body lotion. He thought it was a funny situation because they were husband and wife, and one thing that belongs to the other belongs to the other. So why would you be making a fuss about it? But she told him that this body cream belonged to her and her alone. Next, she was found alone at home, and shortly after that, James' mother came to visit them unannounced. By the time the woman entered inside, the lady welcomed her because the woman did not tell her that she was coming over. This lady allowed the mother-in-law to come sit down. She told her that she was doing some things, let her go and get to eat. Do you know that she left this woman in the parlor until James came back and found the mother hungry, tired, left alone and everything? He was so disappointed in his wife and he wondered who exactly he had gotten married to like this. No be problem, he go carry so. The next scene showed Caleb and Kemisola, visiting her mom. The mother asked him some certain questions about himself, and then it was obvious that Caleb really loved Kemisola and he was ready to move on to marriage with her. But unfortunately, when Caleb disclosed the name of his father to this woman, she changed and she said, "No, never. Kemisola, you can never marry this man. You can never marry into this family." And she told Caleb to get out of her house. She didn't want to see him again. It was so surprising because a few minutes ago she was happy, but on hearing Caleb's father's name, she was so mad and so furious. Caleb had to rush home and rush out because he too did not understand what was really happening. We'll find out what happened next. In the next scene, Jasmine and the young brother were seen talking with the pastor, and he was advising them, giving them marriage counsel. It looked to me as if this young man was actually interested in Jasmine for a marriage proposal, and Jasmine was actually praying and considering to accept his request and give him a positive response. The man told them the intricacies of marriage, how it was a God's ordained union and they should not do it outside of God. The next scene shows Caleb's father in the room, and Caleb coming back from Kemisola's house. He was so downcast. The father expected good news, but Caleb told him bad news instead. He told him how, as he explained himself and told the woman about his father, she fled up and told him to get out of the house. By the time the father heard the name of Kemisola's mother, he realized that this was the person he was looking for such a long time. He had done Kemisola's mother a great harm and he needed to apologize immediately. He then told his son that they were going to go back to that house because he needed to apologize to the woman and he had been looking for her for a very long time. Next, Jasmine's fiance was seen with Mr. James coming into his compound. Unfortunately, they met the lioness wife at home. She asked him where he was coming from and was confronting him. Despite the fact that she saw him with a visitor, she did not care. She told him that he was 5 minutes late and she was not going to condone his lateness. By the time he even tried to explain to her that, can't she see he was with someone, she landed him a dirty slap, despite the fact that the friend was there. Next, Kemisola was trying to talk to her mom, asking her why she refused her to marry Caleb, but the mother would not have any of it. She said no. Shortly after that, Caleb and his father entered into their house and the woman was furious. She said, "What are they doing in the house?" Unfortunately, they realized that Kemisola's mother, who was Eniola Dosumu, had a very rough past with Caleb's father. It turned out that Caleb's father raped Kemisola's mother a long time ago while she was working for him. It was very brutal because the young man then had money and influence and he thought he could get away with everything that he did. After raping this young lady, he ended up shooting and killing Kemisola's actual mother just to cover his tracks. It was terrible. Now, I wouldn't blame the woman for not agreeing her daughter to marry his son. Next, it was Caleb's father's turn to speak. He apologized deeply and said how he actually messed up that time. He was a very bad person, but thank God that God had actually saved him now. He looked for Kemisola's mother a long while, but he didn't find her to do restitution and beg for her forgiveness. But now that he had seen her and fate had brought them together, he was pleading for her forgiveness. The woman was so bitter, but God was going to help her eventually to forgive this man and the grave sin that he had caused. I feel bad for Kemisola and Caleb. They were just caught in between. Look at their parents in a crossroads and at a very difficult time. We'll see what happened next. Caleb was so furious with his father because he could not imagine that his father was a rapist and a murderer. He was so angry, but the father pleaded his forgiveness and told him that he didn't know all these things. He didn't know the right thing to do actually. If he did, he would have done better while he was a young man. Caleb was angry, but we'll see what happened after now. Kemisola, on the other hand, was devastated. Jasmine tried to reassure her and tell her that everything will be fine. She should just trust God. She was in tears because she didn't want to lose a good man just because of their parents' past. I really pray that God actually helps them and this whole thing is sorted out and everybody forgives each other and moves on. But we'll see what happens. With the intervention of a pastor who spoke to Eniola and told her to please forgive Caleb's father, that he didn't know what he was doing. He did that when he was a sinner. With the help of God, she actually forgave him and let go of what he had done to her. At the end, she gave her support to the marriage after Caleb's father had begged her again, and they blessed the marriage, and finally the couple were able to consummate their marriage, get married, and move on with their lives. We thank God for this miracle in their life and family. After a while, Kemisola and Caleb came to visit his father, just to check up on him and how his health was faring. By the time they got there, Caleb's father was inside, and when they went to check on him, unfortunately, the father had actually passed on to glory. Caleb was so sad, but that was the time that the Lord called the dear father home. At least he would rest from all his troubles and sufferings. It was such a sad tale, but at least he had received forgiveness from the woman he hurt, and he was able to let go. And with the grace and by the mercies of God, he would eventually make heaven, even though Caleb was devastated. This is the end of the movie. You're so much welcome. Thank you so much for staying tuned to this time. I hope you're going to subscribe to this channel to get more updates on recaps, letters, and lots more. Until next time.